Hey guys, and welcome to the second episode of our podcast. We're going to be going over a lot, to be fair, in the football world. I've got with me Ash, of course, as people that watched the first episode of the pod will know, and Arangan as well, avid Arsenal supporter. So it's going to be a pretty somber podcast, but we'll try and lighten it in mood. I'm sure there's been some phenomenal football on display, and unfortunately for Chelsea fans, I think on the wrong side of it. But yeah, I mean, what a week. And I guess we can start there. Let's get out of the way. Let's get out of the way the Chelsea Real Madrid match. Before I do, and before we start on that, please remember as well, guys, to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Of course, we are new on these waves on YouTube, and also we're on podcast platforms. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, give us a review, follow it, etc. as well. Read us, help us out, and tell a friend. Right, okay. Let's get on to it then. Chelsea Real Madrid. Ash, I'm sure you're watching as well. As a Chelsea fan, it was like, wow, 1-0. And I was like, okay, all right, okay. We can do this. No English team has ever, won at the Bernabeu by a margin of 2 goals or more, right? So it was almost like, okay, this is unprecedented territory. We went 1-0 up, and I'm thinking, okay, playing really well. Okay, half-time's coming. I'm thinking, I almost don't want half-time to come because we're playing so well. And then we get the second goal, and I'm thinking, okay, right, okay, header from the corner, and I'm thinking, here we go. Okay, we might go to extra time, but we're still all over them. I thought I said at the time I was watching, I just said, they're definitely going to score. It's just a matter of time. But if we can just get another one, never know. Then Werner just squeezes it past the goalkeeper. 3-0. I'm thinking, oh, hello, I'm going ballistic. Going absolutely ballistic. Going, come on, you can do it. And then I just think, the pass from Modric is just phenomenal. I mean, it's one of the best goals of the season. I just can't explain how hard. I mean, actually, on Arangan, we all play football, and like the ability to like just play that pass with the outside of his boot as well. And not just that, but he was like standing still when he played it, and the amount of elevation, the accuracy, put it on the 50p coin, really right in the path of Rodrigo, and fair play to him as well. It's over his shoulder. And the finish takes it on first time. It's a volley, side foot volleys it into the corner. I mean, Mendy is just left stranded, doesn't even bother trying to move. It's just a phenomenal goal. And then, of course, Benzema, who may as well give him the Ballon d'Or now, says, yeah, we'll win you the game, right? And it was heartbreak for the Chelsea fans. But, I mean, we played so well. I thought we played really, really well. And from looking at it, like I just thought, we had so many chances, and we can go into that as well. That it was like a missed opportunity is what I felt at the end of the match. I think maybe because we got so close, I was a bit spoiled. At the start, I thought we got no chance, but when we went 3-0 up, I'm like, okay. But yeah, Ash, what were your thoughts watching?
It's the hope that kills you. It's the hope. We went into it, and like there was no hope whatsoever. I think Tuchel himself said the game's done basically, and then you nick an early goal, and then you build your way into the game. Rudiger scores the header. We get that Alonso disallowed goal. Then Werner makes it 3-0. Of all people, Werner looking like the hero, and then it's just at the end of the day we're playing against Real Madrid, and they're always going to have moments of quality because they've got such gifted players. And that Modric pass, it's one of them goals you could see where you can't even be mad because you just appreciate what a bit of football that was, and it completely turned the game on its head. And I think I felt personally there was only ever going to be one winner after that went in, and I thought it'd be Real. We did have a lot of chances even in extra time, which we definitely could have taken, but it was just crushing in the end. And I think it would have, Benzema was obviously going to have some sort of say in the match, and he put away his header. I don't know, was that like his third header of the tie or something? It's crazy. But yeah, I guess the overwhelming sense is pride there, because I think I don't know. I feel like there were a few doubters when we won the Champions League last year. Even though we beat Atletico, Real, City, I think people maybe didn't really see us as deserving. But I think that sort of performance shows that we are European champions. We are capable of playing at the top of the game. This is the same team that just lost 4-1 to Brentford at home, and then has gone on to absolutely dismantle Real Madrid for the majority of the game.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of positives to take. So even though pretty crushing at the time, I think as the days have passed, I've been fairly proud of the boys.
Yeah, I think it shows that momentum shifts so easily, right? We lost to Brentford and then lost to Real Madrid 3-1, and then we put 6 past Southampton, and then that's it. Like momentum shifted straight away, and then we saw that against Real Madrid. The confidence, like Werner, as you said, like scored 2 against Southampton. And I said, oh, you know what? Yeah, no, he's not a bad player. He's just lacking confidence, and there we go. And then he played against Real Madrid, looked sharp, and you think, okay, we've got a chance. And Havertz is always pretty good anyway. But yeah, I mean, just from a very very brief like analytical point of view, I mean, looking at it, we were all over them, I thought, until they scored the first goal. And then, yeah, as you said, I did say at the time as well, and I was thinking to myself, look, they've got the momentum now after scoring that goal. Such a good goal as well. You just thought, okay, they've got a bit of momentum, and they were coming into the game more, but then we had all the better chances. I mean, Havertz had a free header that he just wasn't marked, and he just thought he got to hit the target, and he just missed. And then Pulisic had those 2 chances, both very similar. One is left foot, one is right foot. Yeah, they're a bit awkward, but you just think, come on, he can do a bit better. At least one of them hit the target, but did really well to get there, just not able to kind of make contact. And then obviously Jorginho as well, scuffing that, like when he had the ball and it kind of rushed it, and you're thinking, oh, come on, like, at least any of those kind of at least hit the target, and I'm happy, right? And at least 2 out of the 4, and I think, okay, fine, it's good save, or understandable. But I thought we were pretty wasteful, even though we managed to score 3 goals, and that was I think the disappointing part of it. But yeah, as you said, like, proud of the way that I think Chelsea played. We completely comprehensively outplayed them in their own backyard. So that was what was fantastic to see. But Real Madrid being the champions they are, and with a phenomenal player like Benzema in form, it makes a difference, right? And the first, I think he had one header right before that where the cross came in, and I saw Benzema right going towards him, and I just said, "Sugar!" Like, I literally just held my breath, like he's going to score, and he hit the crossbar with that one. And I thought, if he has an opportunity, he's going to score. And obviously Rudiger slipped, which didn't help. But what they countered us and just tore us apart. I thought Vinicius, is it? How did I have to pronounce his name? Actually, it's Vinicius, isn't it? Vinicius Junior. He was really good, I thought, throughout the whole match. I know James didn't play badly. He managed to keep him quiet at times, but when it really mattered, he was really good. And obviously the cross was inch perfect and easy header for Benzema. I mean, player in form, 12 goals out of 9 games in the Champions League. It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. From a neutral point of view, Arangan, though, what was your take on it?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I guess the thing with Real Madrid is games like this kind of remind you that a lot of these players, they show that they've won the Champions League 3 times. Like, even though people have really quick to write off Modric, Kroos, Casemiro when they're not playing well, saying they're a bit old, but it's moments like that when he puts that pass in, that first time finish from Benzema as well. It just proves to be the difference. Although the thing is, even with Chelsea, even when they won the Champions League, one thing that I definitely learned is Tuchel knows how to make his team put in a performance. Like, especially against Man City in the final last time, they were massive underdogs, but they managed to win it. And you knew, okay, they sort of threw away the first tie a bit, but in the second leg that they were going to come out and at least give it something. I was watching it from extra time. I thought, oh, it's over. But when I saw the score, and then you can just tell with momentum how it changes. The moment Real Madrid just inch back in it, they've got momentum. They're in front of their home crowd, and like you said, Benzema is almost kind of odds on to be Ballon d'Or. And it's just when they get in those positions, they've been there time and time again over the years, and they just know how to get over the line. But for a Chelsea fan, I wouldn't be too downhearted by it. I think Real Madrid will be a dark horse, and they'll go on quite far, actually, to be honest, because they're starting to come into form at the right time. Looking who's going to get into the final.
Yeah, no, agreed. I think we can save the semi-final preview for next week because that will be it'll be a few days before those ties. So that will be, I think, perfect. That will be the main focus, I think, of that podcast next week, most likely, given the two semis and potentially, is a Liverpool-Man City final, which would be ridiculous, especially if they're still fighting for, the FA Cup, and also they're playing each other in the FA Cup, obviously, and then also they've got the Premier League as well, which we can briefly touch upon. But yeah, and we can touch upon that. I mean, obviously Liverpool and City went at it as well. That was the other entertaining game. And actually, I think it's worth saying that I thought the the Real Madrid-Chelsea game was the most entertaining game I've watched this season, actually, just in terms of how open it was and the quality of football and show I thought was great. But then we saw, of course, a fantastic display from City and Liverpool as well. Great talent on show. There's all these memes and jokes coming out about how they're so friendly, like, as a rivalry. Like, obviously you have the old ones of Man United and Arsenal and, Aaron, we all know, of course, with Vieira and, Keane and in the tunnel and the pizza gate. But here it's all like, oh, I love you. Oh, you're okay. Oh, all chummy and stuff. And it's so weird to see. But, I guess there's a respect there and it's a different type of rivalry, but a rivalry nonetheless. Yeah, I think so. Ash, you went 2-1, didn't you? Liverpool. So did Suf as well. And I went 2-all. I went 3-all. In the end, it was 2-2. And I think Liverpool was slightly fortunate to get a point. I thought City were better, and they, we discussed in the preview how, I think De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva would get success, I think, between the fullbacks and the centre backs and kind of exploit that space. And I think they did that really well throughout, to be fair, as well. They picked gaps in there. And yes, Henderson and Fabinho are supposed to cover those gaps, but they're not as quick as the fullbacks, for one. And two, it is a difficult job. So I think, Liverpool chose their moments nicely. They were clinical when they had the chances, but which made a big difference. And he did go with the tried and tested, I guess. Kind of. He played Jota instead of Firmino, and then stuck with Mane and Salah. But I think overall, like, a really good game of football. Aaron, what was your view on it? Is that the kind of result and like display that you were looking and thinking that that's what would happen?
I thought Liverpool would sneak it, actually, before the game. My brother's a massive Liverpool fan, so I end up kind of watching Liverpool a lot. And I think the thing with Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool is you always seem to feel that they have that extra level where if they reach it, they can blow anyone away. And I guess going into the game, that was probably the danger for Man City. They probably maybe breathed a sigh of relief when they saw Jota instead of Firmino. They handled the first half really, really well. Liverpool got back into it really quickly. And it was a really good finish from Mane. And I feel just kind of around the 60, 70th minute, Man City sort of started to realise that all they needed to do was play out for a draw in 20 minutes and they could take the other games and see how they go. It had that element of almost a World Cup final, whereas it gets a bit cagey towards the end because no one really wants to lose it. But overall, I thought it was a really good game for the neutral. I think Liverpool could have been a bit better, but again, I'm not sure they've been as good as they were when they won the league. But I think it was a lot of good performances from Man City, and it's frustrating for both supporters. But it was a good game for the neutrals.
Yeah, no, agreed. Ash, as well. What was your view?
Yeah, I thought it was a really good game. Mainly because there is two teams that genuinely love to attack, and you know, we got an early goal, which I think really sort of whet the appetite in a way. And I was impressed by Liverpool because I think going to the Etihad is obviously very tough, and to concede early on and then hit back very quickly against a run of play, I think that was really impressive. And the quality of that first goal by Liverpool, I thought was an amazing pass by Thiago, and then some good work, I think, from Robertson and Trent, just with a first-time pass across goal. Edison maybe could have done a little better, but still, I was just really impressed at how Liverpool didn't fold after conceding that early. And then City definitely did have the better of the game. I think they had real sort of solid 20-minute spells where they looked like they were going to score. And in the end, I think a draw was maybe somewhat fair, but I thought Mahrez had that really good chance right at the end.
Yeah, free kick, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, he had the free kick, he hit the post, and then he had I think it was a 1-on-1.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, the chip. Yeah.
Right.
I think Alisson put him off, didn't he? And then
it was quite clever actually, because
yeah,
made him really rush it. And yeah, had that gone in, I probably would have said fair enough, 3-2 City. But Liverpool, I do credit them for just sticking at it and managing to, especially not just hit back once, but hit back twice. So fair play to Liverpool.
Yeah, no, agreed. Yeah, and that obviously now means that City is still 1 point ahead, and there's 7 games left. So yeah, there's still a lot of games left, and Liverpool have got a very interesting game next, which I'm sure they won't particularly relish, which will be Man United, and they've got Everton after that. So it's not an easy run in at all, to be perfectly honest with you. And they played really well as well midweek, of course, against Benfica. I think it was to be expected. I mean, they were 3-1 up on aggregate, so it was just try and get the job done and don't get smashed really at home. And 3-3, but you just felt like it was inevitable, really. So I don't want to touch upon that too much. Obviously, Firmino and Diaz as well playing well, but they've got some huge games, and not just that, they've got their FA Cup semi-final as well, right? Which is just like a huge game against City. That's in a couple of days' time. We'll quickly get your predictions on that, actually, guys, as well. Then, so it's kind of the round 2 of City Liverpool. They just play each other as well, so they know exactly pretty much how it's going to go. They might, who knows? As we said, Pep might throw a spanner in the works and just play someone up front where it's just so weird to play him up front, like Laporte or someone. But you just never know. But a quick prediction for that game.
I'm going to go 2 on Liverpool. I think they'll be angry about the result.
Yeah, Ash.
I'm going to back City on this one. I think.
Okay.
I think I'll go 2-0 City.
Okay, I'm gonna go 1-1, and then penalties. Liverpool win. Because I'm very extreme as always, but yeah, no, I think it's gonna be a really exciting game again. So I don't think we can complain about it. It will be a good one for sure. But I mean, Villarreal in the semi-finals of the Champions League after beating Bayern. I mean, that is just what an effort. What an effort, to say the least. I mean, I just wasn't expecting it at all. They kind of eked through, got the 1-1. They had nicked it really because they're 1-0 at home, and they came to the Allianz Arena, I think it's still called, isn't it? And Lewandowski obviously scored first, and they just nicked it in the 88th minute. And it was just like, this is unbelievable. And I think that is the magic of Champions League. And I was really gutted when they got rid of the away goals because I genuinely love the away goals. And I do think there should be merit for scoring goals away. Like, it's just such an incredible like rule to put in place. And in fact, that would have meant that Chelsea, right, would have been in even more like rubbish really going into that second leg. But I wouldn't have cared. I would have been like, it serves us right for getting stuffed right at home. But yeah, incredible win for Villarreal. And obviously there's the jokes about the Farmers League and Villarreal putting that on their Twitter. It's just absolutely hilarious. They have really taken their stride. But I mean, how surprising was that from your guys' point of view? And you impressed? Can they do much against Liverpool? Or is it just a case of they're going to be huge underdogs and just kind of see, should they be happy with making it that far?
They were good against United last year I think it was the final of the Europa League.
Yeah.
And I mean, I do feel sorry for Unai Emery. I'm glad that he's getting his chance to shine. He's been quite unlucky recently. I guess there's always one team in the Champions League in the semi-final that's maybe, I mean, dare I say, a bit lucky to get there. But I think against Liverpool, they might find it quite difficult. But it's great for the club because they've been in around. They've been kind of hovering for a little while, so it's good to see them back, kind of almost where they belong. They were a really good side in the early 2000s, so it's nice to see them back in the Champions League going far. But I think Liverpool will be far too strong for them.
Yeah, no, I agree. Ash?
Yeah, I think like Aaron said, I think they are a very capable team. Like they played really well. I think in the Super Cup against us. I was really impressed with how they played, and in this run, I think they beat Juve in the round before, and those are two really tough places to go. I know Juve may not be the side that they once were, but going to Turin and going to the Allianz are always going to be very, very difficult games. And credit to them I think they've got a really interesting team because it's a lot of like Premier League rejects and sort of forgotten men. But clearly they've got a strong team spirit, and they've got an experienced manager who knows how to perform in Europe. So yeah, I mean, I think it will be very tough for them against Liverpool, but they've done so well just to make it to the semis. So yeah, credit to them.
Yeah, no, I agree. They've got Foyth, Lo Celso, Capu, Coquelin.
It's like
Yeah,
a Tottenham sort of
Tottenham
rejects with an
Arsenal
manager, weird
blend.
mix.
Yeah, Tottenham Arsenal reject blend.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I thought they were good players, to be fair, anyway. But sometimes it doesn't always fit either the team or the league. Like they have Serge Aurier as well, I think, on the bench. So it's quite funny. And Alberto Moreno, I love him. Left-footed striker, he's great. Bayern played a really weird formation as well, 3-2-4-1, with Coman and Muller as wing backs. I mean, really weird, really strange, all over the place. And apparently, according to BBC, Lewandowski was in the number 10 role with Sane up front. So I think that's right. I think that's a mistake, surely. But either way, yeah, I think Bayern, they will be really disappointed because a massive missed opportunity, you feel. Villarreal, yes, are a very good side, no doubt. And yeah, I think Liverpool will be favourites, but Bayern will be expected, and they would have been expected to win this. And then after that, there was some interesting news that came out about Lewandowski. I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but there's like huge speculation, and like some people are even confirming it that basically he's going to go to Barcelona. So there's like literally like pictures of him in a Barca kit and people saying confirmed and everything. And obviously it's not not live. I haven't seen anything official, but like all these like football outlets are basically saying that it's a done deal. But yeah, I don't know. Would you guys be surprised if he moved? And I mean, I'm assuming he's just banging the goals there, right? But he's been at Bayern for so long, you feel like it'd be a massive kind of change up, surely. Yeah.
I think he's more of a Bundesliga type player, isn't he? I feel like if he went to a team like Real Madrid, it would maybe suit him a bit more. Yeah, I mean, I guess with Barcelona's, if you're in Barcelona's position, you can't really turn down Lewandowski in any shape or form.
No.
But I'm not sure he necessarily suits their playing style. He's kind of like a lone number 9. He holds the ball up. He does everything. But Barcelona is very much kind of fluid team. Look at Aubameyang at the moment. He's done quite well. And I think maybe it would be better for them to focus more on a player who's there for the future rather than one who's probably going to be there for a few years. But
Yeah.
he's going to improve any team he walks into.
Yeah. When you say that he's more a Bundesliga player, do you mean in terms of just because he's a bit more, I guess, his physicality? Is that?
Yeah, he's a bit more direct. He's good in the air, and you see it a lot with a lot of players who go into the Spanish league, but also the Italian league. It's a lot more technical, and whereas the Bundesliga is a lot more like the Premier League, where you have the physical attributes. You tend to do a lot more, and it's a type of sort of a style of game that kind of leans into that more. But I think, yeah, I mean, he's going to score at least 20 goals in La Liga if he plays there. But I think Bayern should really do a lot more to try and keep him.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Almost you feel like it could just be rubbish. There's always a lot of speculation going around, but I just saw it all over my feed and I was like, oh, what's going on? But yeah, Ash, what do you think?
I don't know. It's the type of move that I wouldn't be totally surprised if it did happen, but Bayern have got Aubameyang. Barca have got Aubameyang banging in the goals, so
Yeah,
it'd be interesting to see how they were to work that out. I know Aubameyang sometimes plays on the wing, so
yeah, inside
maybe,
left, doesn't he? Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So maybe they'd try something like that, but I would be a bit concerned for Bayern, to be honest, if they did lose him, because it doesn't seem like they have a sort of ready-made replacement.
Not at all, yeah.
So I imagine they'd go try and poach from elsewhere.
Like they always do, just rob
they always do.
Borussia Dortmund or basically the best striker in the Bundesliga. Just
they'll
rob
find him.
Plot twist, they get Holland.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
Holland, yeah, exactly. Yeah, God.
That'd be yeah.
They're absolutely shameless.
Yeah, completely. It's like Liverpool with Southampton players. It's just we take them all.
But the worst, it's if Liverpool literally just nicked every single like as soon as a player did really well one season, okay, we'll just take him. Bayern literally just seem to have that power that they can just take any player they want, basically.
Yeah.
Götze, Lewandowski, like Royce is the only player that I've ever seen be like, I'm not going to move because I love it too much, what I love. But Sabitzer as well.
Back as well. It's really weird, because
what happens is right.
And Hummels go back.
Yeah, because basically they take them for a period of time and they're like, done with each. Yeah, send you back broken, basically.
Yeah.
But Gnabry as well, right? Gnabry was at Arsenal. He was at Werder Bremen
and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's what happens is when they get in the new flavor of the month. That's what it is.
Exactly.
So they've got they bring in Hummels and they're like, we're kind of you're getting a bit older, we'll get an upgraded version. Okay, Upamecano, great. Okay, you know what I mean? Like he's quicker, stronger, young, great. It's just so. It's just, and then randomly they've got like Choupo-Moting in there. Random Stoke reject. Like it's just so weird.
He's played for PSG.
Yeah, he's banged in goals as well at times.
He's landed on his feet there,
I'll tell you what, unbelievable. He's living the life there, that's for sure. But yeah.
Speaking of Lewandowski as well, Aaron was making a strong case, I think, unintentionally for why he should sign for Chelsea. To be honest, he's got the attributes.
Ash. We just need to give up with strikers. We just do. Can I say something? Like when it
Choupo-Moting.
Yeah, we need to bring in someone like Choupo-Moting. Literally, we need to bring in someone who's unknown. There's no expectation, and like Didier Drogba. Like, yeah, okay, fine. He was really good for Marseille, but I don't think anyone expected him to like be the legend he was, right, for Chelsea.
Yeah.
Like he didn't come with that huge expectation. It was just like, okay, he's been pretty good in the French league, but it's a French league, right? That's what people were saying, right? And then he started and banged in goals. You're like, oh, hello, okay, fair enough. But there was never this expectation that he's going to be amazing for years and years and years. But he was, and I just feel like all the big price tags and everything, we just ruined strikers left, right, and center. It's just such a long list. Torres, Shevchenko. Like, Lukaku now as well. Like, Lukaku is such a good striker. I'm sorry. Like, yes, his first touch is not phenomenal, and it never has been, but it's improved. He is an absolute wrecking ball. Like Inter, he was banging in goals, absolutely banging in goals. I'm sorry. So, and like the defenses there are potentially better than in the Prem. So to
Have
say
you read
that, like,
what Capello said about Lukaku and Tammy Abraham?
what did he say?
Yeah, I mean, he was a bit salty after Italy got knocked out of the World Cup, but he was basically saying it tells you all you need to know about the Italian league. The average strikers like Tammy Abraham and Lukaku, who weren't doing well in their local leagues, come and just dominate the Italian league.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, yeah, less said about that the better, I think, considering that he's Italian and the common factor between Tammy Abraham and Lukaku as well. So we'll get into that. But yeah, this is what I mean. I don't know. Like, but Tammy Abraham is a good player. Like, he's a good striker. Like at Chelsea, I think we should have kept him. I mean, I don't think he would have started. So I understand why he wanted to leave. But he's a good player. He's a good player as well. To be fair, we didn't ruin him. He was okay. But again, because no expectation. His youngster, like absolutely no expectation whatsoever. But yeah, the Lukaku situation just does my head in. I'm just like, what? Even Werner as well. Like, yeah, now Werner's suddenly started to come to a little bit of form, but it was like, oh my god, we're going to do it again. Like, it's just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. So
Even someone like Costa didn't have he didn't have that big a price tag compared to sort of a lot of strikers.
Yeah. But a lot of people
that
didn't think he was going to bang in goals like he did. They were just like, oh, he's physical. He's going to be like, and then he's just going to, you can feed off him and stuff. But no, he was a fantastic finisher. He was phenomenal. Like his finishing was great. Left foot, right foot. Used to turn people inside out. Obviously, great in the air. Yeah, I just feel like as soon as people come with the price tag and there's this huge expectation, somehow I don't know what happens, but they just get swallowed up by like a black hole. It's just like, okay. And then I don't know whether it's the owners or there's pressure from outside, but either way, like I don't know, we just wreck them. I mean, like Torres, I was so happy when we bought Torres. Like, oh my god, I remember being in school and literally sitting there like, oh my gosh, like I cannot believe we've just bought Fernando Torres. I cannot believe this. But then at the time, I was thinking, hold on, we've got Drogba and Anelka. Like, how are we going to play all of them? Like, is this impossible? And then obviously we tried to do like Drogba and Torres, and it didn't work. Tried to do like Drogba, Torres, and Anelka, didn't work. Torres and Anelka, and then I was like, okay, well, hold on. Like Anelka and Drogba, we've been playing so well together. Why are we gonna change that? Okay, bench Torres. It's like you're just benching a £50 million striker, right? And so what was the point of buying him? Oh, then you find out it's because Abramovich just wanted him basically, and it's like, okay. And then we just wrecked him because he then played games and had a ratio of 1 in every 100 games. It was just like, oh my god.
But that's the thing with Chelsea. I mean, like, if you look at the way that you guys play, your best strikers probably in recent years, if you take Drogba or Diego Costa, are the ones where you kind of just leave them up front to do their own thing. They can press the defenders, they can bully them.
Yeah.
Players like Timo Werner, even Torres, they need to be a part of a system, and you guys never really had kind of that free-flowing attacking football. You sort of had these three midfielders who would always kind of sit, usually quite defensive, like Kante, Makelele, Jorginho, and it worked for you. It worked for Chelsea, but like Didier Drogba would snatch goals in games where Chelsea were like quite attritional.
Yeah.
But these type of strikers, I guess, come around once a generation. Maybe you do a really good centre forward soon.
Yeah. You forgot John Obi Mikel.
Yeah.
Really funny thing about John Obi Mikel is that when he first came on, so Man United really wanted him. They were so close to signing him. They'd almost literally signed him, and then Chelsea nicked him basically from Man United. I think he was only like 16, 17 at the time. But I'm not joking. Like he had a really good career, like no doubt. So I'm not saying that he didn't have a good career, but people were literally, and at the time he wasn't seen as a CDM. I think he was seen as like a CM or CAM. And people were literally saying like he's going to be like phenomenal. I'm not joking. They were like, this is like a future Ballon d'Or winner. Like, that's what they were saying. They were literally just like, he's going to be ridiculous. And like, obviously, as I said, like had a good career, but it's funny, like he just kind of ended up becoming like the CDM, like Sergio Busquets, basically, right? Just cleaning up and mopping up, and he did a really good job. But he was like Makelele, he couldn't score a goal to save his life, but didn't matter. He just did a fantastic job for us, and Mourinho loved him, and all the other managers loved him as well because he just mopped up And then also you have Matic as well, right? So we've always had those types of players, as you said, Arangan, for sure. Anyway, enough Chelsea talk. Enough Chelsea talk. Yeah, I mean, let's move on to Arsenal. This is what I want to talk about.
God.
Arangan, the weekend. I mean, I haven't been watching Arsenal games hugely closely, but I'm sure you have been. But Arsenal were in some good form, right? Is it just a huge kind of blip? Is it this Brighton loss?
Yeah, I mean, I was saying to Veno the other week actually before the Palace game, maybe the day before. This is the exact, like, as an Arsenal fan, you've been burned so many times that you just know this is the exact type of position where we throw it away. And it wasn't so much that we lost to Palace because we still had games in hand, but the way we lost to them was just terrible, and you could just see the dominoes starting to fall. Spurs had been doing really well. They've been just smashing up their goal difference. And then to lose at home to Brighton is another thing entirely. I think the one thing Arsenal definitely missing is a centre forward. Lacazette is good, but he just doesn't have the numbers. And if you look at the players that have been doing really well for us, it's been Saka and Smith Rowe, even Odegaard, kind of creative wing players who are doing more than their fair share. And I guess ultimately, kind of, I was saying a bit with Emery when he was kicked out of Arsenal. Ultimately, it just comes down to character. You can have all of these plans and you can set your team up as much as they like, but there just comes a point where you have to take ownership on the pitch, and you can't be challenging for the top four and then go in 10 performances against Brighton and Crystal Palace. I mean,
No
it's
offense.
just, yeah, no offense. They played really well, but you look at the price tag of some of these players. It just shouldn't happen, and it's something that Arsenal repeatedly do, and ultimately it's a mentality thing. I guess Arteta is trying his best to try and iron it out, and we've kind of gotten this vicious cycle now where we've been out of the picture for so long that we can't really get the top players anymore. If we came up against someone that Liverpool, Chelsea, City were interested in, they'd go to them in a heartbeat. So we kind of make do with these players who are a bit of a gamble, sort of half proven, not quite the full picture. And yeah, I mean, it's going to be really difficult for us to make top four now. Europe, I mean, I'll take it, but with Arsenal, you're not sure whether they'll even make the Champions League through the Europa League. So at some point, they just have to, whether it's buying a better striker, solving the problem, whether you keep Xhaka, whether you get a better centre midfielder, but you just don't know what team's going to turn up sometimes.
It's amazing that Xhaka, after that whole incident with the supporters, right? Well, not so long ago, everyone was like his career's done, and somehow he's come back, and fair play to him, I guess, in a way. Like managed to get a lot of fans back on side, and yeah, that was an interesting one, and everyone just thought he was done, but yeah, stuck at it, to be fair. But yeah, it's interesting because Arsenal were playing, I thought, well, and then was that 3 losses out of the last 5 games in the Premier League, so it's like it just imploding really, and they were in a really good position, as you said. And now Tottenham have overtaken them. I mean, they're 3 points behind Tottenham, but they've got a game in hand, to be fair. But you know, I don't know. It's a difficult one because Tottenham are in the ascendancy. Conte's been playing, like, he's got Tottenham playing really well, and I think there's some ridiculous kind of stats for Conte where they were talking about how, like, the impact he's had on teams. So I think the first team he went to, he basically got them promoted to Serie A straight away. And then he moved to Juventus, and they were, you know, they hadn't won the Scudetto, and they were like 7th, I think, in the league. And then he got them to win Serie A basically first. Then he went to Chelsea, won us the Prem, second season, won us the FA Cup. And then at Inter, they, you know, were being dominated by Juventus for like 10 years. And then he managed to get them to win the Scudetto as well. So yeah, he's coming to Tottenham and just turn them around. Really, he's definitely one of the managers of this generation. I think it's fair to say they've won their last 4 games, so they are definitely on a bit of a roll. I think they're definitely favourites, as you said, Aaron. And what goal difference of 19, Arsenal 9. So if they win all their games, obviously they'll qualify. But I doubt they're going to win all their games. Just what can Arsenal do? Can Arsenal just keep on putting the pressure on Tottenham every
They've,
single week?
they've still got to play us, actually. There's a
Yeah.
rearranged North London derby. But
Yeah.
Arsenal's game in hand, I think, is also against Chelsea. So
Well, you don't never know. I mean, we might just be like, oh, we secured top 4, just kind of whatever. we're out of the Champions League, get us at a good time where we're kind of not even fussed. But who knows? We might even slip up. We've got a game in hand as well, as you said, which I guess is that game. So we lose that. We're 5 points behind, 5 points ahead of Tottenham. There's still games left. You never know. Like, got to be careful. We've got to be careful as well that we don't suddenly find ourselves only a couple of points ahead of Tottenham, and you're like, oh, okay, and then Arsenal are close behind. So yeah, it'll be interesting. That I think Tottenham and Arsenal are definitely fighting it out, and then you got West Ham who are just behind, 3 points behind, but they have played 32 games to be fair, so they're hoping really for results to go their way. Then Manchester United on 51 as well, but they've got a game in hand as well over West Ham. What's going on Manchester United? I think we can very briefly touch on that, because there's just like, it's just ridiculous. I mean, the performance they put in against Everton was horrendous. I mean, Everton are a abject side to say the least. Yes, they'll be extremely happy. They, of course, are struggling to even survive in the Premier League. They're now 4 points, off the relegation zone, which is great for them. But for Manchester United, like, it's just carnage, absolute carnage. And there's all this talk now about, is Ronaldo going to stay? Is he going to leave? If they don't make Champions League football, is he going to hang about? What's your guys' views on it? How have you seen their season? And this whole there seems to be this whole debate about how Ronaldo is making Man United play worse, and like, if he's in your team, then you have to play exactly to his strengths, and then it means that other players' strengths aren't coming out, and all this. I mean, what's your guys' views on that?
I guess with Man United, and the whole Ronaldo issue, even as an Arsenal fan, if you're aiming for the top 4 are always teams that are going for the title. To finish second, you narrowly miss out on the Premier League. To finish third, even Chelsea were up there for a while. And to finish fourth, you're kind of trying to keep pace, and then you drop off a bit. If you aim to get in the top 4, you end up in the Europa League. And I feel like Manchester United privately have accepted that getting into the Champions League will be is their goal, and that's maybe even be an overachievement for this team.
I've got to correct you, Aaron Gang, because I'm pretty sure, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but as an Arsenal fan, Arsene Wenger definitely aimed for 4th place for a number of seasons, and he kept on getting it.
Absolutely, but I think what happened every single time was we were in the title race until about, there's a point in
Until
every
Christmas, wasn't it? It was like until
and you
Christmas,
just fall off. Yeah, and then you snatch it from Tottenham at the end.
There was always like a week, wasn't there, where Arsenal were like, they were kind of in the Premier League race. They were in the FA Cup, Champions League, and then they'd get literally knocked out of everything in a week, and it was like, oh my god.
Yeah, I think with the Ronaldo thing, I guess you have to look at how and when they signed him. They literally snatched him from City. Kind of, it was just kind of like just there on because he was going to City and they wanted to grab him. There wasn't that much of a plan of how to use him. I think he's a quality player. He's popped up time and time again, and he's scored like really important goals, probably ones that actually in games that United would have lost.
Yeah, I think he's got the highest number of winning goals, I think, in the Premier League. I could be wrong, but yeah.
I think the problem for United is a lot of United fans remember Ronaldo as he was when he played for them, when he was this winger who would take on 4 or 5 players. And even at Real Madrid, that was never his role. It was at the start, but he's always been just an ultra clinical striker, and he doesn't really get himself involved that much in build-up play or even defending the team. But when it's in and around the box, he just makes things happen. It's up to United whether they want to keep him long term. But I think without them, they're a very average side.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the whole thing is, I think, about the dynamic, isn't it, with Bruno Fernandes and the attacking players, and whether they're able to feed off him. But really, apart from Bruno Fernandes, it's not really much else to look at, unfortunately, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. So I'm not sure what all the moaning is about. But Ash, what's your view on it?
To be honest, I'd say I kind of draw a few parallels between Arsenal and Man U in the last sort of, I don't know, maybe, but almost 10 years, I'd say. And that's, I think, too often there's been players with too big egos and not really, that's not necessarily reflective of their ability. And you couple that with really not good enough managers, and I think there's your answer as to why these teams do struggle over the course of the season, because they both have good moments and good periods, but at both clubs I found when it rains it pours, and they won't just lose one game and then bounce back. They'll lose 2 or 3, and that will have such a bearing on their whole season, and it'll be pandemonium, complete meltdown. Sometimes I see it at Chelsea as well, where there'll just be a terrible period, but for some reason things work themselves out in the end. But I think with Man U, especially, I like the Arsenal team a bit more because it seems like there's fewer of those egos around now, and just genuine hardworking players, which I think is encouraging from their side. But I think Man U still have a big problem where a lot of players just aren't really committed to just working hard and getting through bad periods. They seem to just collapse and capitulate, whether that's in an individual game, like when they lost 5-0 to Liverpool at home. It's a kind of a Man U, one of the greatest clubs in history, and those sorts of results and performances are just not. Are simply not good enough for that club.
We hear Gary Neville say it enough, to be fair.
Pardon?
We hear Gary Neville say that every week.
True, exactly. But he's right. It doesn't match up to standard, and those are the expectations. So it's on these players really to work hard on the training ground, to work hard on the pit, on the weekend, to actually get results. I think there are a number of stats about distance covered and stuff, and sometimes those things can be important, sometimes not. But I think in the Man U case, for example, I think they generally don't work hard enough, and
Do you think
that's why they deserve it.
Do you think they sometimes, the players they go for, do you think they're influenced by the whole commercial thing? I mean, Pogba, Ronaldo, Di Maria, Cavani. Do you feel that, maybe if they signed a player with a slightly lower profile but works hard, gets his head down, but they go for the flashy ones because it sells a few more shirts, etc., etc.?
That's interesting. Yeah, I think the Cavani one, I guess, is probably not, because he will sell shirts, but he's not as, I guess, not huge amounts of people, I guess, would buy Cavani shirts. But I mean, I think he's more in there for experience, and they just thought he'll sit on the bench, and then we can bring him on when we need. I think that's not a bad buy. I think that was a pretty good steal. Di Maria is an interesting one. It's definitely a transfer that I was like, oh, this could be really good, and he just didn't quite. He had really good moments, but I think the team he was in as well was pretty poor at the time, and that didn't help. And what Ronaldo, as you said, Aaron, I think it was to do with partly the commercial side, great, but also they didn't want City to have him, because you put him into City's system, and he just bangs in goals. Can you just imagine De Bruyne just crossing in from that right hand side, and then you got Bernardo Silva just slipping him in? Mate, he would be on about 30 goals now. It would just be ridiculous.
They'd
Who
have
knows?
battered Real Madrid. They would have battered Atletico at home, that's for sure.
Yeah.
He always smashes Atletico.
Yeah, exactly. Although, who knows? Maybe Pep would have been like, I don't really like the way you played, benched him. He's the type of manager that might even do it, to be fair. Well, he didn't want Ibrahimovic, to be fair. So, don't put it past him. But, yeah, I just think the Pogba one was, obviously, he'd been at the youth academy before. They knew how good he was. And I think they were like, oh, he wants to come and play for us. let's bring him in. Yeah, he'll sell shirts, but actually, he's quality, and he was quality, right? I mean, he is quality. I mean, it's maybe a discussion for another day because of time, but I think he is a really, really good player. And I think we saw it in the World Cup, and I know he had Kante beside him. I get that, and that does help. But he's a really good player. I think he probably is, and unfortunately, there are a lot of players nowadays that they need a bit of, attention and pastoral care on that a little bit more. Like, oh, you're great, oh, well played, Not they don't want the Jose Mourinho or like Sir Alex Ferguson hairdryer treatment anymore. Most players don't want that anymore. Um, they're kind of like our generation, a bit more fragile. They need to have that. Come on, lift us up. Tell us how good we are. And that's, I think, what's probably not helped Pogba's case as well. Because there's moments where he will just, I'm like, unbelievable. Like, pick up the ball onto his left foot as well, just ping 50-yard pass cross field. I'm just like right to the player's feet, and I'm just like, what? Like, I'm sorry, there's not many, there's like maybe 10 players in the world that can do that on their weaker foot. Like, it's ridiculous. And then picks it up, curls the top corner, and you're just like, ridiculous, just slips past the play. You're just like, this guy is, unreal. But he just, unfortunately, we've just seen it in blips, right? He just turned it on and off, on and off, on and off. And I just feel like he also hasn't helped that the haircuts, all the media, all the coverage, it's probably put him off as well. He's probably just like, do I really need this? It's like you're saying, Ash, about the distance covered, but like there was that whole thing, wasn't there, with Ozil when it was at Arsenal, like it doesn't cover enough distance. It's like no one said that until he got dropped, right? No one said it until he got dropped, and as soon as he got dropped, it was like, oh, but he got dropped because he doesn't cover enough distance. It's like, what? Did you see him at Real Madrid? Did you see how good he was? Yeah, he had Ronaldo, but do you know why Ronaldo was banging in goals at that time? Because of how good Ozil was. Like, literally, Mourinho was like, this guy is absolutely out of this world. So I think systems make a huge difference, and also the players around as well. I think there are some players that you fit them into most teams and they can kind of do a job, but normally those aren't the players who have a massive amount of flair. They're normally the more industrial, very direct type of players, because they're ironically not as flexible and fluid in the way they play, but they're fluid in the way that they're able to fit into different systems. You put a Kante into any team, and he'll be able to fit in there, right? Because he's absolute beast in that position, and every team has that position, but not every team has a Cam like how Ozil plays. Not every team has a centre midfielder like Pogba, where you need someone to sit next to him all the time, right, and kind of cover space like how they should be. So, yeah, sorry, a very long-winded answer of the question you asked, Arangan. But yeah, Ash, what's your view on what Arangan said? Sorry.
I mean, maybe it's a case of, because they've had so many kind of big name signings in the last few years, and very few of them have actually worked. I remember when it was still like in the years just after Fergie left, and they got, I think, Falcao, Di Maria, and they still had Rooney and Van Persie, who had just had a couple of amazing seasons, and I thought that attack would be unplayable, which dominate, but it just did not click, and they've never really, they've continued to spend the money, but not really get that team that's looked like a winning machine, and I think, yeah, potentially that they've gone for too many marquee big name signings, and it's cost them. Even defensively, okay, Maguire wasn't necessarily a big name when he signed, but that price tag was so much for a centre back that it just has hovered over him. Similar in fullback positions, sort of 40, 50 mil spent on players, and I think it's that has cost them. So maybe if they go a more, Whereas someone like a Matic is actually, I think, been quite good. Whenever I watch him play, he's good. And I agree with Hassan. Pogba, on his day, he is unbelievable. I remember I went to watch Chelsea away at Man U, and he absolutely ran the game a few seasons ago. He dominated Kante. He was unplayable. But then I watch him quite a lot. And I'm always telling my dad, because my dad really doesn't rate him. And I'm like, no, this guy is like, Pogba is a baller. But whenever I'm watching him, for some reason, with my dad, he's always just missing passes, giving the ball away,
falling
like,
over.
you're not
Yeah,
helping my case, Paul.
But it's the classic Pogba where he gets the ball and then he's like, one touch, looks up.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah. Oh, okay. I'll take my time, and then someone just nicks the ball off of me. You're just like, what the hell?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's just sometimes you just feel like he's just switched off. And my dad's a massive Man United supporter, and he hates Pogba. Jenny, I swear he hates him. I like when he first got bought and like the flashes and stuff. He was like, great. And then I think there was one season where Pogba was phenomenal for Man United. He was really, really good. I think he scored goals, assists. I think it was 2 seasons ago, maybe. And my dad was like, oh, you know what, Pogba? Yeah, he's turned the corner, right? Blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, oh, we need to just sell him now. Just to sell him. Like, I think the problem is there has been inconsistency, and I get why fans are frustrated with it. I just think he's the type of player that you kind of need to build your side around. He's that good. And if you don't, then maybe, you just need to get rid of him, because he'll go to a team where either it's ready made for him to just kind of slot in, or they can build a side around him. But I think that's been unfortunate, because he's a really good player. Also, when he first joined, they were massively in transition. They still are now. So I think that hasn't helped his case, to be fair, to him as well. Whereas with France, I get that they've got a huge array of superstars, right? So, but he was almost a lot of those games of the World Cup the standout, apart from maybe Mbappe, right? He was just incredible. But yeah, it says a lot.
I think he's distracted, sometimes. I feel like
you
look at you have a lot of players who are really good, and then you have the ones, the Ronaldo, Messi, Zidane's above them. And the one thing that they did was they just completely lived and breathed football. They would have these endorsements and stuff because they were that famous. But I mean, with Pogba, sometimes there's just a little bit too much going on off the pitch. But also, he kind of sometimes you just read another headline about Pogba, and you're just kind of like, just get your head down and play. Like, he isn't playing for a few weeks. He's had a fallout with the manager, and he'll go out openly in the press and kind of make a comment about that. And obviously the other things like the haircuts, etc., etc. Yeah, I think it is a personality thing. That's just him. That's just how he is. And it's kind of like a take it or leave it situation. I just don't think, like you said, he doesn't have the players around him to sort of, when he's in a bad spell, it's not all his fault type thing. I think it is. I mean, he was a record signing once upon a time, and it's just so much pressure on him. Maybe he hasn't handled it the best way, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with all those points. Yeah, it's an interesting one, which I'm sure. I won't be surprised if he leaves at the end of the season. I think that seems like it's tracking towards that, but we'll see. Before we wrap up, is there anything you guys want to touch upon? Otherwise, I'm going to quickly go through some of the games of the weekend and get your guys' predictions. No, all good.
I'll probably just give a shout out to West Ham. I think
great win today, wasn't it? Yeah,
semi-finals of the Europa League, and
mate, can you imagine West Ham in the semi-finals? Barcelona are not.
Yeah. Imagine even if they're playing each other. That'd be
and West Ham stuff them.
Mikel Antonio scores a screamer in the final, and then it's done.
God. Yeah, bring on what's his name, Kevin Noble, to score a penalty at the Bernabeu. Can you imagine? I love it. Absolutely.
I just think David Moyes has done so well. He's built such a. It's such a well balanced team. There's quality from top to bottom, and so many good players. Like Bowen is looking unplayable.
Bowen's a good player. Yeah. Agreed.
What a season from him. So just really impressed with West Ham, to be honest, because there was only a couple of years ago. I remember They had like fans on their pitch protesting,
Yeah.
and they were just in a dire situation. But the way they've turned it around,
I'm glad Moyes
really
has
impressive.
saved his reputation a bit. I mean, it was a bit on. I mean, Manchester
It
United.
was in tatters, I think,
Yeah.
at one point.
Mm.
Yeah. No, agreed. Leicester obviously getting it done as well, so that's good to see. But yeah, West Ham love it. The Hammers. Declan Rice, I'm pretty sure he's going to go in the summer, but Moyes wants about 150 million, which is very ambitious. So we'll see how that saga unfolds over the summer. I'm sure we'll be talking about that. Yeah, quick then, flash predictions. The Man City Liverpool already done. Tottenham Brighton. So I'll just go Arangan first and you, Ash, and we'll just go around Tottenham Brighton.
2-0 Tottenham, maybe 3-1.
Ash?
4-1 Tottenham.
4-1 Tottenham. I'm going to go 2-0. Man United Norwich, Arangan?
1-0.
Ash?
1-0 Norwich.
1-0 Norwich. Oh my god. I'm gonna go 1-0 Man United. I think that they need surely got to win that. Southampton Arsenal. Arangan?
Cool. I'm going to keep the faith. 2-1. 2-1 to Arsenal.
Okay, Ash.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 1-0 Arsenal.
Okay, I'm gonna go 1-0. Sorry, Arangan. What for Brentford? Arangan, what are you gonna go?
Watford, Brentford 2-1.
Okay, Ash.
Yeah, I'll go 2.
Yeah, I'll go 1-0 Brentford. And then Chelsea Crystal Palace in the semi-final of the FA Cup. Arangan.
2-1 Palace.
Oh, you cheeky. Ash.
2-0 Chelsea.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 2-0 Chelsea as well. Newcastle Leicester.
2-1 to Leicester.
Ash.
3-2 Leicester.
Okay, I'm gonna go 2-1 Newcastle. West Ham Burnley.
3-0 West Ham. They're on top of the moon right now.
Ash.
2-0 West Ham.
Yeah, I want to go 3-1 West Ham as well. Cool. That's all those games. And then we've got some midweek, which are some huge games, Liverpool, Man United, which I'm sure we'll be able to talk about on the pod next week. Chelsea, Arsenal as well. Big game, Arangan. I'm really hoping he wins. That if Arangan's on next week, then I don't have to get hammered by him. God, get battered. Yeah, I think we need to try and get Chelsea fan, Man United fan, Liverpool fan, at least get all three on next week because there's big games on. That's going to be great. And then obviously we can preview the Champions League as well. And then that Saturday is Arsenal Man United. Crazy, right? Cool. Yeah, is that all, guys? Anything you want to discuss before we wrap up? No, all good. Fantastic. Cool. Well, thanks very much, guys, for tuning in. If you've stayed with us this long, then well done to you. Congratulations. And also, please do remember to like the video and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Do follow us on all podcast platforms as well. Episode 2 of Quality Shot Football, our podcast, is now concluded. And we'll be back next week for episode 3, where, as I said, we'll be talking about mainly previewing the Champions League semi-finals, but there's some huge games as well that would have just happened. So I'm sure we'll touch upon those for sure. Thanks very much, guys. Stay safe and well. Thanks, Aaron and Nash, for being on as well, as always. And we'll see you guys next week.